heart of the KTM 390 has been around for quite a while. It's been over 7 years now. KTM has moved this engine across different motorcycles like the Duke 390, the RC 390, which has dominated the racetracks. But as the Indian motorcycling crowd moved a lot towards adventure touring, KTM pulled out the right trump card, and that's the KTM Adventure 390. So yes, in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about my complete ownership experience of the KTM Adventure 390. I've had it for well over a year now. I would say about 14 months, and clocked about 40,000+ kilometers, ridden across different terrains. This is also my daily city commuter as well. And I'm just super happy to let you guys know that it's been a fantastic machine throughout all my rides. In fact, the last ride being up the northeast mountains, it was just fantastic. But there are a few things that could have been a lot more better on the bike, while KTM has actually cut off those things to, you know, not really go the adventure types, I would say. So there are a few things that I would like to point out a little later in this video. But for starters, let's get into the front end of the bike and see what KTM has offered. Alright, now getting into the heart of the engine. This is the same engine used across the Duke 390 and the RC 390, which is 7 years ago. KTM has not changed a single thing on this engine. While this is just BS6 compliant, it's used the same gearbox. They've used a very closed ratio gearbox, which means you'll have to work around with the gears a lot in the trails. That is something where people have been complaining about the bike being very unresponsive, stalling at difficult situations. So basically what I've done to overcome that, because there were quite a few instances where the bike kept stalling in trails. You're in the first gear, second gear. It's not very happy, being in the low end. The low end torque is something what the KTM Adventure misses out. So to fix that, it's a very simple one. You have the FuelX Pro variant device from Race Dynamics. You can run through the different set of maps that they provide. You have about 10 maps, and you can control them using a button where you can place it on your handlebar or maybe just even below your seat. Back to that, I also have a BMC air filter and a Red Rooster free flow exhaust, so that has allowed the bike to breathe a lot more free, and it has really smoothened out all the flat spots. The bike feels a lot more linear, and there's power throughout the rev range. Alright, now talking about the overall geometry and the riding stance of the Adventure 390 off the road and on the road. From a stock bike point of view, it is fantastic. But there is that one thing that actually, comes into picture when you really want to tackle those technical trails, is the suspension setup. With 170 mm of travel in the front and 177 in the rear, this is where you would feel the need of fully adjustable suspension. While the rear gets only preload adjustability, the front gets absolutely nothing. This is such a shame because this is such a brilliant bike. The chassis gives you amazing feedback while you're on the road, off the road. But when you have a soft front suspension, this is where you need that extra travel to tackle that super technical stuff. So what have I done to the bike to tackle that situation here? I've actually put in extra slave springs with the cartridge on top of the OEM springs. So what that does is basically lifting the bike up by 20 mm and giving me that massive ground clearance to literally go through maybe a tree log or even climb staircases and get down. So in that department, I think KTM should offer the fully adjustable suspension that is sold in the European market. Alright, so there are a couple of things the older KTMs were really not good at. They fail at really bad places, and that used to be the radiator fan. It used to heat up a lot. Being a high compression engine, single cylinder, the older KTMs and the RC 390s used to heat up a lot. So what KTM has done here for the ADV, they have plonked in dual radiator fans, which works like a charm. There's absolutely been no issues with the radiator or the cooling setup in the last 40,000+ kilometers I've ridden this bike through different kind of weather conditions. And even today, we've been riding through some really harsh, hot weather. It's been absolutely great, and it keeps the temperature in check. So to keep it a lot more cooler and to extract the maximum performance out of the bike, I've got the Enginized coolant that's running on the KTM Adventure 390, which has been working fantastic. terms of the other features that you get over the older Dukes and RC 390s, the KTM Adventure 390 gets lean sensitive traction control, cornering ABS, quick shifter and the auto blipper. They work fantastic. Now talking about the quick shifter, yes, it can be a little here and there. It just doesn't work sometimes when you really want it to work, but when it works really well. So that's my feedback on the entire quick shift area. But yeah, apart from that, if you're looking at the seat height, yes, talking about an ADV, if you look at any other ADV in this market, they are big, massive, tall and heavy. This is where the KTM Adventure 390 excels under the 500cc segment. At 855 mm, yes, this is tall. I am 5'8", and a half, I would say. And I can, just, I wouldn't say flat foot, but get both my front half of the feet to the ground. So anything shorter than 5'8" or maybe a 5'5" or 5'6", this can be a little intimidating for you to ride. But considering you have a nice narrow seat up in the front, this bike should be a lot more easier for you to ride in the technical bits and off-road. Right, so in terms of taking it pure enduro off-roading and do some really technical bits, you can do it with a similar setup like this. Maybe work on the suspension a little bit and get a good set of knobbies or maybe dual purpose tires, because the stock Metzeler 2-Runs tires are brilliant on road and maybe a little bit of soft roading, but not the best when it comes to some really gnarly stuff. Now in terms of protection to protect the bike from some crazy falls I've had in the trails, I have the SW Motec tank guard that mounts onto the OEM engine guard. They work like a charm, they look neat, they look sleek, and it also gives me the options to mount my two sets of lights, the Denali D7 and the Baja Squadron Pros. Talking about the headlight setup on the stock ADV 390, they are pretty okay for a 6 LED setup, but it doesn't give you the throw. It's got good focus, it's got the spread, but the brightness isn't there for such a big headlight assembly. So you might want to look at a good set of auxiliary lights as well. Alright, so we've spoken a lot about how you can make the ADV 390 a lot more better off-road or a little bit of enduro riding. Let's look at road touring. This is also a place where this bike excels. You can carry some really good speeds, cover a lot of distance in no time. 2-up touring, absolutely no complaints. You have big wide seats, you have ample amount of space to mount your saddlebags, your tail rack, and even have a pillion. And the best part about the bike, as a stock bike, the handlebar setup is just perfect for your off-road riding and a little bit of soft riding as well. And not to forget, most of the KTMs that were sold in the last few years, or maybe even until the ADV 390, had really tiny tank. You're looking at 150-180 kilometers of range, right? So on the ADV 390, this is again a big move from KTM. You're getting a massive 350-380 kilometers as a tank range on the KTM Adventure 390. While we've also seen people cross the 400 range mark, but that again totally depends on how gentle your right hand is. So overall, road riding, this is a fantastic machine. So yes, in the last 40,000 kilometers, you might be wondering what kind of service the bike has gone through. Well, nothing major for the bike until now, just the normal service, your oil change, your chain sprockets, your brake pads and stuff like that. So you're looking at about 4,000-5,000 for a normal service that includes your oil change and stuff. But if you're getting your brake pads and your chain sprockets changed, you're obviously looking at a slightly bigger bill. But yeah, all in all, it's been a fantastic experience riding this bike. This is one bike that's actually taken me places where the bigger bikes really struggle. I might not have the expertise to ride those bikes, but this has really taught me and become such a mature rider, riding it off-road and doing some really good stuff. So yeah, overall, all you'll need is a better suspension setup, better set of tires, and that's where the ADV will excel in every department. What I would only wish for is maybe KTM comes up with a 390 Enduro or a 490 Enduro where you get adjustable suspension with tubeless rims. I think that would be a game changer in the sub 500cc segment. So yes, overall, it's been a brilliant experience until now. We're going to be riding this bike for a lot more kilometers to come. So stay tuned. My name is Ajit. I'll see you guys in the next video.